Okay, hi, I'm Niall Conroy. I'm going to do a series of very basic lessons for what I call setup. Whenever students came to me here in my school, I used to always do a setup with them, and it really helped people to get orientated on the guitar. The setup involves, first of all, the names of the strings, which ones are which, how you can tell, and also how to read a very basic diagram of A, okay? And then we move on to D and do E. In this video, I'm going to cover the names of the strings, the common mistakes students make when it comes to putting chords on, and also just basic technique of where your thumb is going to go and how the chord should be held. But let's kick straight in. Here's how I would approach this if I was teaching anybody, and this is how any teacher, in my opinion, should do the same thing. Get your guitar, put it flat, get a post-it note, put it right here beside the bridge, and then get a marker, give the student the marker, and call out the names of the strings using the expression that was on the sheet, which we just said, which was extremely blue giant dolphin amazed everybody. The E string, okay, there's two E strings, but the first one we're going to worry about is the one that was closest to their knees when they were starting, okay? That's E, and we're going to call that number 1, okay? Below that we're going to do B, which is the second string from their knees. So that's E and B. Beside that, we're going to do the G string. So now we've got 1, 2, and 3 done. Extremely blue giant. The next string will be D, which means it's the D string with the 4 because it's the 4th string. The next one is the A string. That's the main one we're going to use when we strum our A chord in a minute, but that's the A string, okay? We pull that 5, and finally another E, which is the low E. You can hear this one sounds low, and this one sounds high. Okay, so low. Okay, this is the 6th string, and if you're really feeling adventurous, you can even give your students a blue marker and tell them to draw a little dolphin. Okay, I'll try this now. Luckily, it's not the Niall Conroy drawing dolphin school, but basically it's something like this. You go over, there's a thing, and then a tail, and it comes down like that, and that's a dolphin. Okay, that's a blue dolphin, and it's amazing, everybody, which is why the extremely blue giant dolphin is amazing, everybody. And for perspective, that's a man, that's why it's giant. Okay, that's the names of the strings covered. You can do it neater, but that's how most students will do it because they tend to be messy unless they're highly organized. Now, next thing is we're going to get into doing the fingers on the left hand. Okay, fingers on the left hand. You've the first finger, your pointer finger. You point all over the place with that. Your second finger is the one you use for doing your scissors. Your third finger is obviously the one beside the first and the second finger, and then finally your pinky finger is the 4th finger. Your thumb is going to be used at the back of the neck. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the A chord. All right, I'm going to show you the diagram. This is the diagram. Notice on the diagram there's a little eyes and a head and some feet. This is important because you want to keep the head and the eyes kind of like you are looking at your guitar. This is what I always do with my students. If you put the head where your head is, okay, put the page in front of your face so you can see through the page to the head, and then lower it down. That is how you'll be looking at your chords. This really helps students to see what way the diagrams work. And also, just to show anybody who doesn't understand, which is why we're here, the little black line on the diagram is this piece of plastic here, which is called the nut. Okay, the nut on the guitar is represented by a black line on the diagram. Now, just to go through the diagram a little bit, you'll notice that underneath the diagram we have the names of the strings, which we now know because we just put them on our guitar. Secondly, we have numbers. The numbers are the finger numbers. Don't get confused, they're the finger numbers, which fingers you should use. And underneath is the names of the strings, which we just said is the stuff we just stuck on. Okay? Now, obviously, this piece of paper is also available. You can just grab it off the site. I'll have to figure out how to do that. Never have done that before, but look, we'll wing it and we'll make it work. Let's do the A chord. Use your first finger. I want you to find the G string. How do you find the G string? Well, you go to your sticker, you find it, it's the 3rd string. You go along the 3rd string and you find the 2nd fret, okay? My first finger is going to go into the 2nd fret of the G string, and therefore it's in the right place. Now notice, I'm actually putting it pressed against the neck of the guitar, and my thumb is at the back. Now this is important to understand. If you took a pencil or a pen and you put it like that, okay, you'll be holding and making a circle. So this is a circle. When you're holding and making a circle with your hand, if you were to move your thumb to the side, the pencil would fly away and you won't be able to use it, okay? Hopefully it won't go into someone's eye. And what we do instead is, instead of doing this, because it's not the Niall Conroy Pac-Man school, it's the Niall Conroy, well, I'm teaching guitar in this video. We're going to use our first finger and we go into the second fret. These are all called frets, okay? And the second fret is the one that's the second one up. So this is the first fret. And in actual fact, the piece of metal is a fret, but people always call the box the fret, so that's fair enough. The first box is the first fret. The second box is the second fret. So, if I say to you, your first finger, I want you to find the G string, and you go, I do not know where that is, you will say, wow, luckily I have a diagram that tells me which one it is, so now I can find it. And then you say to me, well, what fret am I in? And I say, it's in the second fret. So then you put your first finger into the second fret, and you're thinking, this is going well. Next finger we're going to do for the A chord, the second finger is going to go into the second fret again, but this time we're going to go into a different string, okay? We're going to go on to the D string. So let's find the D string. Well, look at your sticker, you'll notice the D string is the fourth one down. Fourth, 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 okay? May the fourth be with you. Go along the D, and then you put your second finger in. Also in the second fret, so this is where it's going to be a bit of a squeeze, but let's put it in there for now. I'm going to talk about where the thumb goes in a minute. Most students at this stage will be doing something like this, okay? Don't worry about their thumb at the very start, just get the fingers in the right place and then it's easy to move their thumb afterwards. This is my advice anyway to teachers, especially when you're teaching groups. Third finger, I want you to pop it into the B string. Now again, look at the diagram to get navigated. You'll notice that the B string is actually the second string. So the second string away from your knees. You follow it down, follow it down, follow it down, and then you put your third finger, put it into the second fret. Now we have an A chord. At this point, I'm going to pause and take a breath and show you the diagram of A. And you'll notice a little bit of a difference between what I'm holding up here, and your brain has to make the connection. So first of all, here's what you should do. Tilt the sheet so that the head of the little man is up like your head. And then when you look down on the diagram, you will notice that there's 3 dots in a row. Now a lot of beginners make this mistake and they put the 3 fingers side by side like this. I've seen this time and time again. This does work. Technically it is the same chord, but there's not as much space, and especially for adult students, I would not recommend it. I would recommend instead that you start with your first finger, because we will be able to jump between the chords much quicker, especially going to D and also down to E. And this is a tip I got from a flamenco guitar player in Seville, and in fairness, they know a thing or two about guitar. So your first finger is the first one you put on, and let's finish off by talking about the thumb. The first finger, we said, goes into the G string. It's the third string from the knees. It's on the diagram and it's on your sticker in the second fret. Your second finger is also in the second fret, but we jump it towards your face because it goes onto the D string, the dolphin string. The next finger you're going to put in is the third finger, and that is going to go into the same fret, okay? And therefore we have all 3 in the second fret. Now, this is probably the most important piece of information in this video. And by the way, if you already know the A chord, you will be long gone by now and you would not have been sticking around. But this is for someone who has no clue at all how to do chords, which is why I said at the start, this is for total beginners. The thumb is the most important thing. And also I want to be able to get a pencil, and I have one here. Okay, so you've got your fingers in the right place. I want to show you this. The thumb should not be up here. The thumb should be nice and low. And if I tilt to the side, you'll notice a kind of a round shape, okay? And here I can get a pencil in here, there's loads of space. Now, people's hands are usually smaller than mine. I've got quite large hands, but even if they are smaller, okay, you'll notice there's still a little bit of space here. The common mistake students make, first of all, they don't put a sticker on, and then they try and look at the diagram, and then they get everything in the wrong place, and they go, is that it? And you're like, no. So once the sticker's in the right place, then the fingers have to be numbered 1, 2, and 3 so they understand by saying 1, pointer, 2, scissors, 3, the one beside the scissors, and the 4. Don't start with the second one, you know what's going to happen there. Put the first finger back in the right place. I'm going to talk fast now. First finger is in the G in the 2nd fret. The second finger is in the D in the 2nd fret. And the third finger is in the B in the 2nd fret. And now let's get back to the thumb discussion. The thumb should be low, not high. Okay? When you bring the thumb low, it sorts out the angle of the wrist. The angle of the wrist is important because the angle of the wrist is going to give this space we talked about earlier. And finally, you get your pick, you ignore the pencil that fell on the ground, and you put the pick on the A string and you strum towards the ground, like this. Common thing the students will do wrong is, these are like trees growing out of a motorway. Okay, if you let the trees fall over, what happens is cars will smash into the trees and it'll be like a huge burst of flame, like Die Hard 3. Now, this is the sound of a dead string. And it's caused by your fingers, okay, I'm trying to get a better angle, your third finger especially leaning over, okay? So you want to make sure the knuckles are all bent, okay? Do like Ninja Tiger claws. That's the sound of a Ninja Tiger claw. You want to make sure the knuckles are bent and also they're coming straight out of the guitar neck, okay? See what I mean? So, there's your sticker. There's your incredibly well drawn dolphin. The strings and the fingers are in the right place. The thumb is in the right place. This is approaching 12 minutes. We're definitely getting to the end of the video. Use your pick. Start on the A string and go towards the ground. And that's your first video. Thank you for watching. If you want to learn D and E and then go on to doing some rhythms for the basic setup, continue to watch. And if you don't, well then go do something else. I don't really mind.